Hey, it's me, WWE Hall of Famer from the LOD, Road Warrior Animal. And you.
Yeah, I gotta do this when? Now? I'm watching a match. What is now? Now is, oh, now. Yeah, thanks. Hey, this is the Pharaoh from Monty and the Pharaoh. I just want to say thank you to our subscribers as we now have hit the 10,000 plateau. Thank you to all our subscribers out there. But I'm going to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged YouTube Monty and the Pharaoh member. Yes, that's right, folks. You can check it out. We've got 3 different levels. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. There's all sorts of perks for our members. There is nothing more we enjoy than giving you this program. And to do that, we need your support, and we appreciate your support. This is Jimmy Pharaoh, and don't forget to check out Monty and the Pharaoh every Thursday from Indie Music TV and on Cablevision here locally in New York. Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Later. Is that good enough for you? Can I finish this? Lesnar's killing him. I'm pissed. Yes.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, seen here and produced here out of Indie Music TV, out of the beautiful Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board is one of my favorite people, the superstar producer,
Good boy.
Mr. Matthew Ice. Matthew, how are you, sir?
Amazing.
Liar! Liar! You have been grumpy and tired and cranky all morning. Liar!
Yeah, just a little tired.
Oh, okay, so what makes that amazing? Go ahead. Cover up. Go ahead.
It was covered in sarcasm, you
Covered
know?
in sarcasm.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you know,
So he's
not
really miserable.
not to pick on you, but you did fail an epic fail yesterday in getting Gary Michael Capetta's computer up.
That is true.
What was the problem there? Why couldn't someone of your quality
Yeah.
and caliber be able to
Yeah.
get
There's
that
only
computer
so
working?
much you can communicate through phone, you know?
There's only so much you could communicate through phone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So somewhere in that college upbringing, they didn't work.
I
on
mean,
that.
laptop technician's not my
Interesting.
degree. So,
Is it
yeah.
true though that Gary's computer was like before the dinosaur age though? Was there something?
Oh,
to that?
yeah, something to deal with that.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Oh, so we're blaming Gary.
No, we're not. No, we're blaming Gary's old computer. Let's do that because he is our producer. We can't completely
just
throw him under the bus
just
and
to
run him over
confirm-
and back
just-
over him.
Just to confirm what's going on in this country, taking no responsibility for what is going on. So we'll just not blame Gary. We won't blame the producer of this show. We'll just blame the
machine.
computer.
Yeah, blame the machine.
not? Why
Yeah, I
not?
hate machines anyway.
So
Go
while
on.
this country rots from the inside, we'll just keep blaming everything but ourselves. Anyway, if anyone didn't know it, to the right is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm fabulous, just like our producer. I'm lying too.
There you go.
There you
Fantastic.
Go. There you go.
We got some great guests on this special Friday edition of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. But before we get to them, I don't know if you heard about this, Jimmy, but
What?
I know you kind of live under a rock nowadays.
Yeah,
but
I live under a
the
rock.
mystery disappearance
Nowadays?
of a U.S. road tripper grips the nation. American authorities have launched a massive search for a 22-year-old woman who mysteriously vanished during a road trip with her boyfriend, now declared a person of interest. Oh, that's shocking.
Yeah, person of interest.
Gabrielle Petit, or otherwise known as Getty,
It's
Gabby, whatever,
Getty played in Rush.
quit
That's
her
Gabby.
job and packed her life into a camper van for a cross-country adventure with her boyfriend, Brian, 23-year-old, documenting their journey in a stream of Instagram posts. But more than 2 weeks ago, the boyfriend showed back up at his home in Florida without her. 10 days later, her family filed a missing persons report.
10 days later?
10 days later.
10. Okay, that's weird. Go on.
And, the police in Florida say they are feeling the frustration of the family and the nation, and they're doing their best to find out what happened to this young lady. Thoughts?
Well, why did it take 10 days? That's my first thought. Second of all, boy, talk about circumstantial evidence. This is not looking good for the boyfriend. That's my thoughts. I mean, what can I say?
So you think he did something?
It doesn't sound like he did nothing. Hey, we went on a trip. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know what the problem is. By the way, this is a photo of me smiling, standing next to the camper. How you doing? Really? Wow, the balls, man. You got some balls. I mean,
How
if
do you
he's
go back
not
home?
guilty, okay, then I'm wrong. But right now, it's not looking too
I mean, we
good
really
for
should
him.
be laughing about it, but I
What
mean...
is that? Who's making a joke of it? The guy, this is not good. Where is he right now? Have they detained him? He's a person of interest? What does that mean? What, are they standing outside always watching cable
No,
TV
person
right
of
now? What is
interest means that maybe they think he might have had something to do with it, and
Maybe.
they're investigating.
Why did it take 10 days, though, honestly?
I don't know.
Isn't it like after 24 hours somebody's like missing and stuff like that?
You think we talk about taking responsibility...
Didn't know that he's home.
What's that?
The girl's family did not know that he was home.
Oh, there you go.
He was still out there.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. Don't they got cell phones? Can't they check in on her? Like, where you been? Wait, she's not answering. Day 2, she's not answering. Day 3, she's not answering. Day 4. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at some point, this is a long time before I think she might be missing. This is weird.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
weird.
maybe someone should take responsibility for that.
Maybe is it a computer's fault? It might be.
Or it could be Matt's fault.
It's probably your fault, Matt. You grouchy.
Or it could be DC Drake and Damien Kane's fault. But
It
we'll
is-
find out.
What? Sitting there minding their own business, and you bring them into... What are you talking about?
I would like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monty and Farrow and Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall.
Bart,
Wisteria
man.
Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life. Not far behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
Go to their YouTube page and hit them a subscribe,
Yeah.
get that channel moving, and their music's wonderful. Download it, put it on your phone, listening to it during your workout. Or if you
Okay.
just want something to go to sleep by, because you've got some mellow tunes that could mellow you out to
Something to
relax.
go to sleep by. Jay.
Well,
Thanks.
that's not an insult. That's just say you might want to relax
Wow,
a
this
little
song
bit.
really kicks ass.
Monty and Farrow can be seen on the Monty and Farrow YouTube page. Just not now, because as everybody knows, we have been suspended due to Missy Hyatt's comments about COVID-19 and Dr. Fauci. So we have been neutered.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can recover and get back on our wonderful YouTube page. But in the meantime, you can catch us on our Facebook Live page, hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, catch us on our Twitch TV Monty and Farrow page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, you can catch us on Channel 115 every Tuesday from 7 to 7:30, and for early risers on Saturday, 6 a.m. to 6:30. Also, if you're a night dweller, a vampire,
Me.
Channel 20, 2 a.m. to 2:30. That's on Friday nights. We'll be right back with these pro wrestling legends, these icons. How about ECW originals?
How about that?
DC Drake and Damien Kane.
See you in a sec.
The Monty and the Farrow Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence. Collision Specialists. 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, produced here out of Indie Music TV, and we are honored to have our guest in studio, DC Drake and Damien Kane. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
So, what's going on out there with you guys in this world we live in right now?
Well,
Go ahead.
just like old times, we think alike, we talk alike, and he thinks of the same thing I think about. That's what happens when you spend time with the godfather of professional wrestling. That's what happens, and that's what happened when we met a long time ago. Way back in, what century was that? Back in the 80s. I want to tell you something, guys. If you were alive in the 80s, you know what we did.
Oh, yeah.
We ruled the world of professional wrestling. The godfather of professional wrestling and DC Mad Dog Drake, the NWF World Heavyweight Champion. And together, we made that happen. When we met, totally different opposite ends of the spectrum. He's too nice a guy. Too nice a guy for this business. He wasn't getting anywhere. I get a hold of him and I say, listen, you want to do this? You got to do it right. So I took what I do best. Get inside his head. I got inside his head.
He did.
I slapped the shit out of him in the locker room, threw a dog collar around his neck, put a chain on it, and started dragging him around, telling him what to do.
Started feeding me raw meat.
Raw meat.
Raw meat.
Raw
As
meat.
a matter of fact, we did an interview with the National Wrestling Federation. I think Paul Heyman was the commentator at the time, holding the microphone.
Who?
Yeah. Anyway, we were doing our thing, you know. And, you know, he wants to get personal. He wants to get personal. I'm in the wrestling world. I don't talk about my personal life. This is business. And the way I managed DC Drake, I treated him like a dog. I treated him like a dog. On the way to the arena,
Wait a minute.
tell him the story.
What-
Tell him the truth.
What about the treats?
Quit being such a freaking nice guy. Toughen up again.
The
Come on.
treats?
30 years. It's been over 30 years since I've seen this guy. And look what happened to him.
One of my biggest complaints with
Fed
this
you
guy.
treats or you didn't get enough treats?
No, one of the biggest complaints with this guy, I wasn't getting treats.
Not enough treats.
No matter what I did,
Wow.
I wasn't getting treats.
He was just toughening you up. It was for your own good, probably,
the
right?
raw meat. Yes, you
That's
you
your
supplied
treat.
me with the raw meat.
That's your treat.
No. I wanted liver. How many times have we discussed that on the road?
Again. We're running into the same problems we had when we met. He's too nice a freaking guy. He's worried about the right amount of protein, the right balance of this, the right balance of that. I wanted freaking liver. I didn't want no damn meat. I wanted a freaking liver. I wanted organs.
I wanted liver snaps.
Anyway, like I was saying, I've been living a good life.
30 years, this is
Okay.
coming up again.
I was happy.
It's sore. It's a
I was
sore.
doing my thing.
And
I
now
was the
you're
king
back-
of the
now you're-
freaking world.
Now
Are you
you're back
kidding
with
me?
this guy now after how many years? What was the last time you guys saw each other?
It's been over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
Over 30
long time.
Over 30 years. Yes, indeed.
Haven't talked to him, and you know, we got to a point. You know, the reason why we owned the National Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship title is because nobody could take it. Not because he won or lost a match, because nobody could take it. You know who they couldn't take it from? They couldn't take it from me. I'm the man. He did the work. I was the brains.
And if you remember correctly, the last match that I think you and I really were together was when that smelly, what was his name? Chief?
Jules Strongbow?
Yeah. Strongbow, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he was here recently. Yeah.
He was the biggest thorn in my side for I don't know how long. Every time I turn
Well,
around,
they had him removed by the police.
had me taken out by
By the police.
It took 7 of them.
Yeah,
Took 7 of them.
Of course it took 7 of them.
I said, hey, you know, I got a contract in my hand. Let me get personal for 1 second. In this business, when you make a deal and you get a contract, the contract stipulates every aspect of what you can expect from you and what you can expect from me. Meaning the promotion, meaning the wrestler and the manager. That's the bottom line. And we had a contract. I would be in his corner. I am his manager. I am his representation. I am his counselor. I am his freaking world. In the world of professional wrestling, he became a mad dog because I brought it out of him. I got in his head. I pulled it out of him and I turned him in to the mad dog that he really was. I found himself for him. The rest is ancient history.
But again, that match with Strongbow, where he was removed from the ring, that was the last I seen you.
Until I came in and saved your ass again.
Yes.
Oh.
But then they said.
Oh my God.
That they wanted to send.
Talk about doing two people's job.
It
That's
is,
what we.
but
That's what we were looking at. That's what we were looking at, ladies and gentlemen. We were doing two people. I was doing two people's job. I was wrestling. I was managing. I was hit. It's hard for me to believe that the wrestling world has continued to exist for the last 25 years that I've been absent. That's what baffles the mind.
You see what it's become.
That's what baffles the mind.
You see what it's become.
That's the problem. That, my friend, is the problem.
So are you blaming yourselves for what's happening in the wrestling world?
Absolutely.
You've allowed the Orange Cassidys to come in there because of your absence?
You guys are behind the
You're behind
flip-flop
it all?
fest?
What?
The flip-flop fest that we see today? You guys...
You're talking about those little twigs that flip around and roll around.
Let me just
This
say
is disappointing,
this.
guys.
Let me just say this. What you see today
Yeah.
is what we saw coming 25 years ago. They used to have this thing called backyard wrestling. Where wrestling fans that wanted to get together and they wanted to imitate the superstars of professional wrestling. Backyard wrestling became the norm.
Do you think one of those punks could eat a raw steak?
Not in their lifetime.
No treats for them.
Not in their
They don't
lifetime.
deserve a stinking treat.
No treats for them.
Now,
You showed them a raw steak.
You see what I'm talking about? The nice guy's disappearing. You know why? Because he's hearing a familiar voice. He's hearing the master's voice. A dog, a good bad dog.
And let's talk about
listens to one.
Let's talk about Orange Cassidy. I'm gonna give you guys a little piece of trivia.
Okay.
Orange Cassidy went to the same high school I did.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really?
Phillipsburg High School in New Jersey.
Were your hands in your pockets your entire high school tenure?
Yeah, but not for the reason his are.
Interesting. Okay.
I know what mine were in there. I was hanging around the girls' locker room. That's
good
why
man.
my hands were in my
Good.
pocket.
Looking for treats.
Yeah.
Good man.
And if I didn't get one, I was giving myself one.
Seriously, what are your guys' take when you see an Orange Cassidy today? The size, he looks like a lifeguard. He's basically, 150 pounds soaking wet, keeps his hands in his pockets,
How good's
and
his
then
memory?
pins a guy your size. Any thoughts on what wrestling's become?
Go ahead.
I don't think I would make a good Hollywood actor. Because I don't think I could speak somebody else's words and make them convincing. Let me just say that much about that particular topic. Because if you want that, there's certain places you can go to find it. But when you want to be what you've always dreamed of being, which is a superstar in the wrestling world, let me tell you where you'll find it. You'll find it in those places where a lot of normal people don't like to go.
Are you doing okay right now?
This is a highly personal subject to me.
Okay.
Because to me, it's the fan's experience that means the most. It's the only reason why we're here. If the fan doesn't get his money's worth, if he doesn't get what he expected to get, then you failed at your job. That's real easy. But when somebody feeds you information and puts you in front of a camera and tells you what to say and tells you what to do, what happened to the business that I once knew? That is not the business that I know. And excuse me, I didn't get the frickin' memo. Because in my world, I never did play. When I do something, I do it. No questions asked. And if that's what you want, then come on down. Because for 25 years, I didn't give you what you wanted. I stayed quiet. Everybody asked, where's Damien Kane? Where's Damien Kane? Well, I'll tell you something. Damien Kane was hardcore. Before hardcore was cool. That was proven in the National Wrestling Federation over and over again. With legendary people in the ring, like Bruiser Brody. God rest his soul. Son of a gun hit like a... I still have headaches over that. Let me get back on track. I'm sorry. What was I saying?
Remember we had talking about Brody, we were talking about the stars of the National Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
But think about the stars that we had. Think about what we had in there. Brody, Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, the big Sarge.
I know.
You know, Sergeant Maggot.
That one whole summer, remember that one whole, was it summer of '87? I must have been in the ring, I must have worked with that guy 30 times, 35 times.
He was like a flea or a tick you couldn't get rid of.
Hey, you couldn't touch his hair.
Oh my God.
You couldn't touch his hair.
Oh my God.
Remember in the back?
What hair?
He'd curl it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
He would take that
You
hair.
got a guy coming out there who's Sergeant Slaughter.
He would curl it up.
Yo, Joe. Oh my God. No hair.
He'd sit in the back. He'd spray it, curl it up. Then as he started wrestling, it started to uncurl and uncurl. And pretty soon there was 2 feet. Then 3
I think we were
feet.
supposed to talk about
Then 10 feet. What? It's past the G.I. Joe stuff now. You know, we can talk about
I
it.
never could control what come out of his mouth, so I'm not
I never could
responsible.
talk about
I haven't
it.
seen it for 30 years or more. Trust me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be happy about
And
it.
then remember that one
You
night?
understand what I'm saying?
I think
the only good thing he has going for him is that politically we agree.
All right.
We agree.
I think the one night in Detroit. Do you remember that night in Detroit when that hair came out and it actually wrapped around the neck of a fan at ringside?
I'm tired of talking about that, Maggie.
That was horrible. I'll never
about-
forget
how
that.
He
about-
gives me nightmares to this day.
How about talking with us about Paul Heyman? Because you guys obviously both have...
Who?
The advocate for Brock Lesnar. The representative for the
no,
tribal
no,
chief.
no. Let me correct you. The advocate for...
That's pretty good.
Stupid ass. Learn how to do a promo. Jesus, I trained him. When I was in the National Wrestling Federation, he was a friggin' photographer. He came up the ranks because of me. Because of me. The door that I opened for him. I left him manage me and Drake to get his career started. 10 years later...
Against the one of them that's actually on the show is against Fantastics. Remember that show? That match?
He came in handy, though. He did
come in handy.
But it's the idea. There was no appreciation for what the Godfather did. Everybody wants to praise Mr. Heyman for being so great at what he does. He's the greatest mind in wrestling. Oh, he is nothing but a watered-down Damien Kane. You will find that real shortly. Because there's one man. Your cult hero, Mr. ESS Promotions, he's the only one that could talk me into coming back and promised me that he would reconnect the two that made the 80s what they were. So here we are.
And
What happens next is your guess as good as mine.
And you know what the best thing about that was? That we chose to walk away.
That's
We
exactly
chose
right.
it on our...
That's exactly
by
right.
what we chose to do. No one told
Exactly.
us to leave. No one told us it was
Exactly.
over. We chose to walk away.
Exactly.
How
Remember when Brody got
difficult-
involved? Remember going back to that? Remember when Brody got involved? What did I do? What did I do? Did I let you down? Hell no, I didn't let you
You
down.
were right there with me?
And who?
And-
Who came in? Who came in?
Do you have-
Abdullah the Butcher. I brought you Abdullah the Butcher. I
had-
brought
I needed
Abdullah the
Abdullah.
Butcher
I needed Abdullah.
to the family. And together, the three of us, we were unstoppable. There was no way you were going to defray our mission, whatever it was. Because Brody was a tough son of a...
He was. He was.
Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher! Who doesn't know about the legendary antics of the madman from Sudan? I'll tell you. Right here. Right here. I made it happen. And I'll do it all over again. And right now, right up here, in your back door, you've got the chance to come and see us. That's right. The godfather of professional... Wait a minute. No. It's not the Godfather of professional wrestling.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that.
It is
That's
now.
old. That's old.
It is now the Godfather of extreme. Because when it comes to extreme and hardcore, there is no tomorrow. All there is what I say. It's time. Because if you paid attention and you look around in this crazy world, you'll know it's time. And guess what? I'm back thanks to Eric Sims and his ESS Promotions and Icons of Wrestling, bringing back the dream team that ruled the East Coast in the 1980s, moved into the 1990s. Extreme they want, extreme they got. The Godfather of extreme. I'm the one that established it and started it. I was hardcore before hardcore was cool. Do not forget it.
Well, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with these ECW and Pro Wrestling legends, DC Drake and Damien Kane.
Biden.
That's what he reminded me of.
Oh, my God.
That's exactly what he reminded me of.
Oh, well, I don't even want to hear that word.
Oh, my gosh.
Biden. Ugh.
Jimmy, I got to take a dump. What? No. I mean, I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and Faro, produced out of Indie Music TV here in Ronkonkoma, Long Island, where we have as our special guest pro wrestling legends, ECW legends, DC Drake and Damien Kane, who have not missed a beat in 30 years. So, how does that rant affect you guys?
It's 1980 again for me. I mean, it feels
Feels good?
Like turning the page.
oh, my gosh, it's wonderful.
It feels like turning the
How do you...
page.
So,
It's like we worked just last night.
you guys
in
haven't
Town.
seen each other in such a long time.
Well, almost 35 years.
You don't even talk on the phone, nothing?
Never. I went my
Well,
way
how does
anyway.
that happen? Like, after such a strong bond, like, how does it... I understand people separate a little bit, and I get it, but how does that
Well,
end up happening?
You know, for me, when the National Wrestling Federation began to fold up, and I can tell you a little story if you want to hear about how that began.
That's why
to
you're on
happen.
the air, bro. Go ahead.
All right. We were producing the shows. I was the producer of the show. Damien was helping with the
We were a
booking,
team.
and we were a team doing things. We had a chance to go with a big syndication deal with a company out of Cherry Hill called M&M Syndication, and the people that were the money behind it started to have their own issues go on as to who would be named the producer, who would be named those things, and that infighting actually started to make things fall apart. The whole goal of the National Wrestling Federation when we started it was to give them pieces of the hardcore while maintaining what people were used to seeing with wrestling. Again, with the goal of building our own stars, using the existing people to build our own people because we had to. We knew sooner or later we were going to lose these people. They were going to go back to WWF or, someplace else. And then we also were in contact with other promoters in other areas of the country and talking about, let's put together a package here. Let's see if we can work together because we can't have Slaughter doing this here while he's doing that here. We had to work together to make this thing work. And it just fell apart. I mean, we just got down to people not getting along, and at that point I just walked away from the business. I was disgusted and I know he was disgusted, the amount of time, energy, creativity we put into it just fell apart.
How was life for you guys after you walked away? Because that's got to be difficult. You usually don't hear that story where guys are able to just be able to walk away. You guys somehow did that. What was life like in the immediate aftermath of walking away? Was it difficult? I mean, you go from being a wrestler. Look, I know you both lived, breathed, ate shit pro wrestling. What do you do when it's all over with? How were you able to adjust?
Well, for me, I had a career outside of wrestling,
Okay.
and I stayed with that.
Okay.
And I did some stuff with TWA, Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, and did some work with them for a while. But never again did I want to get involved in any booking, any television. It was just so consuming, and to see it fall apart was, it's like.
Was it the business itself that made you guys say that's enough of this crap, or was it certain individuals that might have triggered it? I mean, what was it exactly that made you both go, enough?
Well, if I could speak, my situation is a little bit different than Don's because
Okay.
we kind of parted company before the end of the NWF came about.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to go over to Europe,
Right.
do some things over there, and to me that was opening a whole new can of worms.
Sure.
And when you're talking about determined to make your career, build your career on your own without signing your life over to somebody else and carrying on a fictitious persona, and I didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that. So we took it the hard road. We built our careers from the ground up.
Right.
And when I say that, when I first started in the wrestling business, I was trained by the great Killer Kowalski.
Wow.
One of the true legends. You want to talk about legends
Sure.
in the game. Killer Kowalski. And when you're trained by a killer and you come out with this kind of passion about the business because you really realize why you love it now, because of the stories that he told, and you take that to heart, and you see the world that you're in and what you're contributing to making that successful, and you are coming along with that ride, you become a bigger and bigger fish, and the pond becomes smaller and smaller. And you become what we did. We ruled.
When that bigger fish got to ECW and you guys got to see some of the seeds that you had been laying down in the NWF days, what was your take on ECW when you got there? Did you recognize right away, like, wait a minute, this ball looks like it's going to roll into something bigger, which it did.
Well,
Well, Damien he can tell you a story about his. I walked away from
Right,
that.
right.
One of the things I saw with ECW was they were bringing in where hardcore became almost everything.
The norm,
And they
right.
brought a different type of fan out. And that was something that I really, and I think we've talked about this
Yeah.
before too. The fans were invested. That's what we did the work for. And I told you off the air about a fan, and the fan with the glass eye who was at our Philadelphia shows. And we would go out there, we would call him Crystal. Remember that? We were on them all the time. Hey, Crystal.
With the glass eye.
With the glass eye.
Okay.
And then one day I get a letter in the mail with a picture. He's got his eye out, holding it to the picture. So that is what the fans. They're part of the
Sure.
game. They're
we
part of the
incorporated the
excitement.
fans in everything
Right.
we did.
They had
Sure.
to. That's who pays the freight. That's what's important.
The fan experience is the only thing that matters at the end of the
So
day.
is that
It
what?
doesn't matter how great you think you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good you may be.
Right.
So
It doesn't matter
But-
if they didn't appreciate it.
Is that what you think is happening today's wrestling? That the WWE, and I'm not saying I believe this, but that the WWE isn't moving towards the fan, while AEW is doing exactly what Damien just said, and
Exactly.
they are putting their eyes on the fan and saying, we want to do what you want to see, while the WWE is going to say, you're going to do and you're going to eat what we're going to feed you.
Exactly.
And do you
And
think
if
that's
you actually sit back as a smark, okay, there's
Sure.
plenty of those out there.
Sure.
There's plenty.
which, by
of
the way,
smart
we're
marks,
not smarky, so
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's only so much you can do in front of those people that are gonna like it. They know everything that's going on. They know everything you're doing. They think they do, and then they see somebody like us, and we throw them a curveball because they can't distinguish the difference between reality and fantasy, and that is the strength of a true worker, a true wrestler in professional wrestling. That is your job. That is your job. Nothing more. It's not your job to go out there and steal the show with 20 backflips and moonsaults and flying over the top rope. You do every finish you can think of. That is a waste. A waste of time.
Are there any wrestlers in today's wrestling that follows your description of what you were just saying? Not the flippy part, but as far as making the fan question whether this is possibly
I don't
real.
think they can anymore. And the reason behind that is, and Damien alluded to it earlier when he talked about somebody putting a script in your hand.
Exactly.
You can't be who you are.
Exactly.
You can't develop your
I've never read a
character.
line off of a cue card.
Absolutely
nobody's script. You give me the information where we're going, where we're at, who we're wrestling against, and trust me, I'll take care of the rest. That is my job.
It's like a good comic. He knows the room he's working.
Right.
And you get out there and you know, we had fans in different parts of the country that wanted different things. You pick up on that within the first few minutes of a match. If you're going out there working with somebody who wanted you to work, you lose those people. They're not going to come back.
So it's losing.
The biggest downfall
losing
in
the
the wrestling
organic
world, I believe, is when it got changed from being recognized as a sport that was regulated by the state athletic commissions, and you paid taxes because it was a sport and all of that good stuff. When Vince McMahon was able to convert that to entertainment instead of a competitive sport, it became open season. Just for him to save all that money in taxes, it became open season to entertain however you choose.
Yeah, but what would you guys say to Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Shawn, the curtain call, where they broke kayfabe? Well, that was the beginning probably of what you're describing here. What would you say to them? Thanks a lot for, destroying the blur?
No, I think somebody like Kowalski may have said that.
Okay.
I think I looked at it a little bit more realistically.
Okay.
I'm not out to insult anybody's intelligence. It's not my job to convince you that what I'm doing is real. It's my job to make you second guess yourself and prove that it's not. Because what you just seen me do was real. Now you figure out where the fantasy comes in.
So do you think the point then is someone sizable like both of you guys who look like real wrestlers compared to today's age where a guy's 150 pounds, that's where the disconnect becomes?
I think so, because that's the guy you see on the street corner getting on the bus.
Yeah.
You want to see guys that are different, are somebody coming from,
So you don't want your mailman winning the world title? Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. And
Or my lawn boy, or my lawn boy, my pool guy.
Right.
My Sancho in the backyard. No, we don't want that guy. We don't want that guy.
I mean, the biggest memory I've had.
That's the guys that are playing around in the backyard.
Biggest memory I had when I was a young kid, going to the Philadelphia Arena. You walk in there's a smell, first of all, to the place. It's sweat, cigar smoke, popcorn,
Cigars,
hot dogs.
Sure.
You go up and you hit the ring. Every kid does that. You hit the ring and dust would fly up. The lights weren't always bright. It wasn't like an antiseptic environment.
Everything didn't happen on cue.
Right. It was. You went there. You waited for the excitement. It was unpredictable. You just didn't know what was going to happen, and you sat there and you waited. And then out come again, and here I am, 5'5", 14, 15 years old, and here comes this huge guy, 6 foot tall, this wide. Man, you were scared.
Yeah.
You were scared.
Let me just say the name Abdul the Butcher.
Abdul the Butcher.
He terrifies everybody. He
Scares
comes
me
in
to this
and
day.
he should.
Scares me to
Because
this
that's who he is.
True-
and
true
he's
legend.
legendary.
True
From
legend.
way before all this crap.
Oh, yeah.
He is the one of the many who have established that in professional wrestling. And to this day, any one of these kids that you describe, I could walk in that arena with Abdul the Butcher or DC Drake. Once I spend some time with either one of them, trust me, there ain't a man in that arena that stands an Ice Cube's chance in hell, excuse my language.
Well, speaking of someone, we had Missy Hyatt, we explained earlier that she gave a great interview, but a few things she said got us suspended, and, that's a whole nother issue, but you had some issues with Missy Hyatt, right, at some point in your career?
You keep wanna, when they crucified Jesus Christ, I'll tell you what they did. They threw salt in the wounds. They threw vinegar and salt in his wounds. Is that what you're trying to do to me? I'm just asking a question because everything that comes out of your mouth seems to relate back to a sore subject for me.
But there's a lot of sore subjects with you. It's hard to maneuver myself around that.
Me and Missy might have had it past.
Wait,
Whoa.
Wait, you're not saying you're Jesus Christ.
No,
Okay,
that's not
all
what
right,
I'm
good.
saying.
No, I was
I
just.
think I made myself.
Now hold on. Does this mean he's not going to get a treat?
See, you guys are out for fun and games, and the people sitting at home, sitting there relaxing, sucking up their coffee and smoking their cigarettes, doing whatever it is they do.
Something else.
And they're enjoying this little television
Whatever
program.
they're smoking.
Oh my God! So while you're enjoying yourself, I got to sit here and be annoyed by these two, and all they do is bring up stuff I don't really want to talk about. I'm waiting for them to bring up this debacle that's going on in the world right now.
Well,
they're
that's-
trying to steal my country.
No, don't get us suspended. Please don't get us
All
suspended.
right, a fan has a question. Javier Ois is asking, were you both involved in Joel Goodhart's Tri-State Wrestling precursor ECW?
I was,
Okay.
and I was the champion for Joel Goodhart for probably 10 months, 11 months with ECW or with Tri-State Wrestling Alliance.
And I can tell you, I've never personally worked just for Joel Goodhart, although he was involved with some things that I had done in the wings, so to speak. So I was around him many times. I guess it's a chemistry thing. You either click with somebody or you don't. And we've just never interacted enough to really know whether or not we clicked. He took me at face value. That's a big mistake. And I took him at face value, standoffish.
But there was also another issue that happened too. I did ask Joel about bringing you in as my manager. You weren't available at that time. I think you may have been in Europe. I'm not sure where you were. So
How come he wasn't available? He's hanging out with Missy Hyatt or something?
Here we go again. Here we go again.
So
You're going to get hit with the box of treats is what's going to happen.
Look,
I don't know about treats, but you're going to get hit with something.
look,
Go.
just
Oh,
a
my
jest.
Lord.
So I actually ended up with Nancy Benoit as my manager when it was with.
So speaking of Nancy
He's starting to
Benoit,
remind me of that guy that died a long time ago, that comedian, what was his name, Andy Kaufman? With,
Oh, Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Jerry the King Waller, you know?
Wow.
You mean
I
the guy
really-
that-
Kaufman
Can I be
taking everything as a
Letterman? He
joke,
doesn't get
and
hurt.
had
I wanna
Mr.
be
Waller
Letterman.
saying, you know what, you think this is a joke? Damn,
No,
come
I-
on!
look,
Oh, I'm
no,
itching,
no.
I'm itching. Hold me back. Hold me
I already had Marty Jannetty punch
Hold
me in
me
the face.
back.
We've already
We
had
that.
Marty do
Don't-
this, all right? You know,
don't
easy
get the
now,
Godfather
easy now.
going.
Can you guys speak about Nancy Benoit since you brought her up?
Do what?
In what way? In what
Just
type
how
of person
about your
she
memories of her?
was?
I always
She was
found
like-
Nancy to be very professional. I
Yeah.
always found her to be a very nice young lady. I never saw anything negative out of her, although there were stories going around about what that relationship was like. But again, I don't want to get into things I don't know about.
Right.
I just know my relationship with her was always professional, and she was always a professional with me.
But when you mean relationship, what relationship you talking about? The
terms
Sullivan
of
relationship
manager-
or the Chris Benoit relationship?
You would just hear stories about that it was an abusive relationship.
Okay, I
It
got
was
you.
one of those things. But again, who knows?
If you read about it in a magazine or heard it on the media, forget about it. Don't
Right.
take it serious.
I'll go with that.
And that's a big problem. See, when you bring up Missy, you probably think I'm getting upset for the wrong reasons. Because,
Why are you getting upset, Godfather?
well, here we go.
Have you been misrepresented in the media over the stories?
Absolutely.
Well, clear it up, brother.
Absolutely.
This is
And
your
that's,
shot.
and that's why when we touched on,
Tell us.
I'm going to be as polite and professional as possible.
You always are.
I walked out of the ECW arena in September of 1996. And before I walked out of that arena that night, me and Mr. Heyman had a conversation. We had a one-on-one private conversation. In that conversation, there was reference to a Missy Hyatt. After that conversation, a show was put on in front of the boys in the locker room, so to speak, by Mr. Heyman, pronouncing that I thought I was better than these guys and didn't respect these guys for what they... I had the utmost, and I continue to have the utmost respect for every worker in that locker room because they put their life on the line every night for his vision. It was a shared vision, but there's different ways to go about it. 10 years earlier, I helped make you. When you had the chance, you screwed me. You know it, and I know it. If you want to call that personal, you go right ahead. But let me tell you something. You've been king of the world as long as I stayed quiet. I open my mouth and watch how watered down you become. I don't care if you have the masses. You can have the WWE Empire, the universe behind you. And it doesn't stop destiny. I am here for a reason. This isn't by accident. I didn't sit on the shelf for 25 frickin' years just to come back and say hello. No. Pay attention, people. Read your books, the good one especially. I'm here for a reason. I am your Messiah. I will be the one who takes you to the promised land. I promise you that. Mr. Heyman, I'm sorry, but you didn't make the cut.
With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Paul Heyman's in trouble.
He's just an advocate.
And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Wrestling fans, now you too can look as cool as Monty and the Pharaoh by wearing the official Monty and the Pharaoh sunglasses at night for $8.99 each. That's only $8.99 each. Now available at montyandthepharaoh.com.
Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, scene here over at Indie Music TV, where we have the honor to have pro wrestling legends DC Drake and Damien Kane. And I got to tell you, friggin' loving this interview right now.
You opened up a can of worms.
Dude, but you know what? I'm not trying to.
I've tried for 25 years to keep my mouth shut, and I'm still trying to do it.
Well, I'm going to try to bring this down a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, so Damien, I don't know if this is a touchy subject. I'm going to just touch on it. Are you still married to Lady Alexandra?
Oh, here we go.
Dude, he's the dude.
I don't know. I am asking a question. I don't know. If the answer is no.
Did you read my unauthorized autobiography?
Unauthorized.
Unauthorized.
It's unauthorized.
I don't talk about that.
Unauthorized.
You don't talk.
I don't talk about that.
All right.
Plain and simple answer.
Oh my Lord.
So I guess
Alexandra became my wife throughout our working career together in the wrestling business.
There we go.
Unfortunately, over 10 years ago, we decided to part company.
Okay.
Fair enough.
We still share our son and grandson, and I'm happy to say she's thrilled to death.
Nice.
Doesn't want to jump back in there and be put into this mix of what's out there today. She just doesn't want to be parts of it. And I respect that. And I appreciate her contribution to this business, even though there's many people that have tried to erase her from the history books. You can still go back and find it in magazines like collectors do, and you'll find that she was, and still is, the classiest lady this business has ever seen. Whether you like me or not doesn't matter. You had to respect the fact that she was a classy lady. And that I leave you with.
Well, kudos to both of you, because it's hard to keep a regular marriage together, but in a working relationship marriage, God bless you both. Great job with that.
How about, I want to ask them this because they're definitely traditionalists. What's your guys' take on when Hogan was changing the business, when he became the E in entertainment? Because let's face it, without Hulk Hogan, I'm not sure that it becomes WWE. What's your take on when that was happening? Were you guys cool with it as it was happening? What's your opinion on Hulk Hogan?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, at the time that it happened, I mean, you were part of the of the ocean of people that watched it happen. I mean, there was nothing you could do to derail it or stop it, because when McMahon had the opportunity to take over the reins and decide to go marketing to the kids instead of the adults, he left that whole blue-collar worker portion of the fan base out in left field alone. He knew they'd have to come along with the kids, so he marketed to the kids, and he groomed the next generation of fans that he has brainwashed into his way of thinking and his way of doing things up until what you see today. And you see what it's become because of it. You see what it's become because of it. Yes, thank you, Vince McMahon. Thank you for revolutionizing the wrestling world and introducing it to a whole new segment of fans. However, once you had that, what you did with it, I personally disagree with. I personally, if I was working like Kurt Hennig, for years, a second-generation wrestler, made a name for himself, signs a contract and becomes Mr. Perfect. Kerry Von Erich. Disregard that, Texas Tornado. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Everybody became a cartoonish character, and that's where it went from there. That I have a problem with, because that's what excited the young new fan and introduced them to this physical world that they started to imitate, because it's all fun. It's a cartoon. Yeah, Hulkamania, yay! Give me a break. His biggest move was listening to the crowd. Ah, come on, a leg drop. Ah, come on, 1, 2, 3. While there's guys out there that are actually doing their job. Out in the independent world is where you're going to get the best quality wrestling that you're ever going to see for the most affordable, efficient price that you're ever going to get. Compare that to what you see in the masses.
And now we talk about what Damien just brought up with the independent world. McMahon no longer wants to look in that world for wrestlers. Now they're looking to pull them from, other sports.
It's an entertainment
product. He wants to pull them in from that.
They don't have to know how to wrestle.
The independence, like Damien said, is where you're going to find some of your best wrestling. And where would McMahon be if he didn't have his TV contracts, if he didn't have all this marketing, if he didn't have that? If he had to depend on live house shows, how long would he survive?
And when you look at the old time true legends of the game, when McMahon did that, where did they go? They got together and said, we don't want no parts of that. And parts of the promotion, in the promoting end of the office, and a bunch of the guys, Killer Kowalski being one of them at the time, Bruno Sammartino, David Sammartino, Larry Zbyszko, Valiant Brothers, I can list goes on and on. The Soto brothers, That's when I started. Kowalski trained me, and when you have an old-timer, old-school guy, you don't take shortcuts. You don't get away with that half-ass crap. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And I'm going to teach you the right way to do it, and you're not going to walk out that door until you're ready. And I was ready when they created the International Wrestling Federation. And that's where I started. But you won't recognize the name, because I wasn't Damien Kane at the time. I was the Monkey Man, Bonzo, with bleach blonde hair and tie-dye. The vision was to fit in with the
I kind of like Monkey Man.
Well, you remember the Monkey Man? You remember?
No.
You don't? No. I'll show you what it looked like, and you might say, oh, that was you! That's the problem with wrestling.
I gotcha.
Right. That's the problem.
So what, in your guys' opinion, you're talking a lot about wrestling, but what's more important, mic skills, getting the people in the seats, or the actual wrestling itself? Like, considerably, you're great on the stick. You can tell just by this interview.
I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, it is.
Let me just say I'm a wrestler first.
Okay.
I started as a wrestler. That's where my heart was at. However, when they put me in front of a microphone, they were impressed. I was a new guy, just breaking in. I went up to the microphone. I did my version of what I knew. They loved it. Well, I'm not bragging.
No, you could certainly see. Bragging. You could certainly see why.
What other new guy are you going to see in front of a commentator with a microphone in his hand doing a promo about anything. That was me. My first match was a TV taping. In that TV taping, I was doing interviews and promos because that's what they needed, because I was good. They used it. It worked for them. And at the stage I was at in the business, just breaking in, I was working. No better place to be. Everybody else asking, man, you're working all the time. You're everywhere. What the? I'd show up at the arenas. And David San Martino, he was around the same era of breaking in and getting his name established as Bruno San Martino Jr. He comes into the locker room, picks up a magazine, he's paging through it, and he sees Ed Bonzo. There's Bonzo in the freaking magazine. Can't find himself. And I'm working with him. Why are they focused on me? He's the one they're pushing. He's the one that's going to be the next San Martino. Right? It's because of the mic. If you can speak legibly, I mean, if you can talk to a fan in a language that they hear and understand, and there's no, yeah.
So
yeah,
are you trying to say that David San
I'm gonna
Martino?
get that guy.
Are you trying to say David San Martino had no mic skills?
No, that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is there's a distinct difference between somebody who does and somebody who doesn't.
Sure.
There's that one factor that you cannot teach. It is the it factor.
That's right.
And if you have that, you have what it takes to make it, no matter what you got in the ring.
Excellent.
Well, I got you here.
And that's how I became a manager. I did a better job for them. I was a pitch man for the guys that couldn't pitch themselves. And I pitched them better than anybody else in the game because I had the mind for it. That's what comes first. You have to have a great mind. And my training was living a half hour away from Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And every 3 weeks, Tuesday night in Allentown, Wednesday night in Hamburg, that's where all of it took place. And I was there watching and studying and seeing the greatest managers in the world. Lou Albano, Freddie Blassie, the grand wizard of professional wrestling. What better teachers are there than that?
The unholy trinity.
And that's what came to me. That's what I'm saying.
Does it concern you that wrestlers today, it seems to be, forgive me for saying this, but this is how it seems to me, because after all, you were trained by no less than Killer Kowalski. Is it alarming to you that almost anybody could be a pro wrestler today? They get trained by Schlubby down the block.
And that's the problem.
And they think they're a wrestler. They think they're in the business.
And that's what I was referring to in the very beginning when I say that it looks like backyard wrestling has become the norm and it has taken over the industry. Because those guys are a dime a dozen. They're all laying around outside your door. All you got to do is open it up and bring one of them in and here we go. Backflips for eternity. Moonsaults all over the place. Hey, look at it. Get together out there. I'm coming at you. Woo! Flying over the ring. Even the Undertaker. Even he will sit there and tell you that it kind of, everybody gathers, it's kind of overworked, you know? Once in a blue moon, something like that may happen. You don't do it every freaking other match. Yeah, I mean, there's so much overkill. How many finishes do you have to destroy before you finally take a pin? How many false finishes do you have to kick out of that would have normally put a guy out? Everything you can name. Pile drivers, neck breakers, off the top rope suplexes, superplex, whatever. Which happened to be one of my favorites, by the way.
There you
Remember
go.
that? Anyway.
Finishers in the first minute. Kick out.
All right, so we're almost out of time.
Kick out.
I want to get something called the Pharaoh's final question is. I want to thank you guys for this wonderful interview. Unbelievable. Fans love it. We love it. Be nice if we were not suspended, but hey, that's
Yeah, well, you know, maybe we'll behave next
all
week.
right, so
maybe
this is where the start of the show, Jimmy Farrow looks in his mind, and he may just ask
There's
you
nothing in here.
any kind of question he wants, and it could just be about hot dogs. I
It's
have
not
no
gonna be
idea.
about
But anyway,
hot
Jimmy, go ahead.
dogs. Guys, is there anything either one of you would do? You can answer one at a time. Is there anything you would do to change anything in your pro wrestling careers? How about you, DC? You go first.
Probably not.
Really?
Except for the fact that maybe I wish Godfather and I would have stayed in contact with each other. But the way things worked out, I mean, it was meant to be.
Just like that was meant to be, I might add. This isn't accidental. 25 years, I turned down every offer to make personal appearances, to make any kind of a, I didn't show my face in public for 25 years.
Would you change anything if you could do it all
I
over
would
again?
change one small thing.
Shoot.
I would have snatched Paul by the frickin' neck and took care of him when the time was right. When we were face to face, one to one, in front of nobody but you and me. And that's when I should have done what I needed to do then. And we wouldn't be sitting here today, because it would be history.
All right, with
One
that,
regret that I have is walking away.
well, we want to thank you guys real quick. Where will you be? Where you guys are at Comac Wrestling Universe?
Yes, Comac Wrestling Universe. We're going to be there for signings today. I think as soon as we're done here, as a matter of fact.
All right.
So,
Well, with that, you've been watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast. We want to thank you, gentlemen, for a fantastic interview.
Thank
we
you.
wish you luck
you for
on
having
your
us, yes.
weekend. I'm sure you guys are going to do great. And thank you for what you did for this industry and for the fans.
thank you
Thank
for
you, guys.
recognizing that.
I appreciate
that's
it.
what
Thank
we,
you.
we really appreciate that.
Well,
guys have been
it's
great.
from the
You've been
heart.
real.
It's
Thank
from
you.
the heart.
Thank you.
This has been Mike Monty.
This is the Pharaoh, and until, wait a second, you got Abdullah coming in here?
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. Later!